All right, guys, today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about something that we call existential feeding. To sum it up, really what it is that your dog works for every single calorie that it gets. A lot of times we deal with clients and people in general that say, hey, my dog doesn't like food or it won't work for food. And what existential feeding does is it changes your dog's mindset about that food. So we actually want our dogs to work for us for their kibble, what they receive every single day as their meals, right? And when we take the existential feeding approach, it helps them understand how important kibble is. So some things that are a little bit different and where people get confusion when it comes to like this existential feeding, working for your food kind of ideal, is that we're not going to withhold food from the dogs. So we're not going to take food away and say, hey, you know what, we're going to make sure that you're hungry before you start working for us. What we're going to do once we're transitioning a dog to an existential feeding plan is we're going to give them multiple opportunities throughout the day to get that food and to get those existential calories, right? So for instance, with older dogs that have had freebie meals their entire life, when we go to an existential feeding plan, sometimes they can look at us like we're crazy, right? So what we would do, we'll take the dog out for session 1 in the day, and I'm gonna offer him, a piece of food, piece of his kibble for sitting down. If the dog looks at me and says, are you crazy? I said, okay, maybe I'm crazy. And I walk away, I put the dog away, and he just lost his opportunity in that moment to receive that food. Now he probably has a lot of extra calories in his system, so that's not gonna be an issue, right? We'll wait a couple of hours maybe, and we try for session 2. And I come out with just his regular plain old kibble, and I try to pay him for sitting with a piece of his regular kibble, and he might look at me like I'm crazy now, or he might say, hey, you know what? Food is important, and I need to eat that. If he decides to look at me like I'm crazy, awesome, cool, I'll walk away, and I'll put him away. The dog is not going to starve themselves, right? The key component to remember here is that we need to give them the opportunity to have food. So here's your food, you just need to work for it. If they decide, I don't want my food, that's them making that choice, and it's not us withholding food from them, right? We're saying, here's your chance at food. If you deny it, okay, I'm not gonna force feed you, we go away. The way that the existential feeding works is we can't get to the end of the day now and say, you know what, Fluffy, you didn't do it, you didn't work for the food, so here's a free bowl of food. No, we just say, okay, we're gonna try again tomorrow. And we're gonna continue to give them opportunities to eat. The goal with existential feeding is we shouldn't be, if our dog gets on average 4 cups of food a day, what I do in the morning is I'll measure up my 4 cups of food for that dog's day, and throughout the day, throughout different training sessions, that's when they're gonna get their feeding. So we don't wanna lessen the amount of food that they get, we just wanna change the mind state, right? We want them to be excited about training, how they may get excited when you fill up their bowl of food, right? So no freebie bowls of food laying around. All of the food is gonna come from you and what you bring to the table for your dog. It's gonna make them feel empowered and build engagement for whatever exercise it is that you're working on.